Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here, and back with a Cardano crack special. I suppose this week we'll call it Paddy. So normally myself and Paddy go live once a week. We got that one out of the way yesterday, and we have a special guest on with us today, Mr. Telegrams, Micky. Very welcome back onto the channel.
How you doing? All good?
So, all good our side. Look, I suppose most people here are going to know, they're going to be here for World Mobile. They're going to know who you are and who World Mobile is. Do we want to jump straight into it, Paddy? Or
yeah, let's get it going. And welcome, Micky. Thanks for joining us. We haven't had a guest in a few weeks, so someone decided to join us, which is great.
Someone in the hot seat there.
It was a good list. There's so much going on in World Mobile at the minute. It's announcement upon announcement upon announcement. So hopefully we get through it. What are we allocating? An hour? Paul, as our normal amount of time.
Yeah, we normally struggle just to keep it in under the hour. We'll see how it goes. As a bit of a structure here, what I'll do is after this is finished, I'll go back and put timestamps on it because we're hoping to cover lots of different topics. So anyone watching the recording, then hopefully there should be timestamps down there for you. Anyone joining us live, please do give the video a like, share it out to help bring others in. We're going to run through the latest updates with World Mobile. We can fire some questions to Micky, more a general chat on how things are going, keep it fairly casual, and then the last 10-15 minutes we will take any questions that are there in the comments. So let's get started. I suppose just in case there's anyone here doesn't know yourself or World Mobile, Micky, do you want to give a high level elevator pitch? If someone got you in the elevator and asks you what you do.
Half the world's unconnected. A lot of the world is underserved. We have brought together a new economic model to incentivize people to put up infrastructure where there aren't one.
Nice. You've practiced that one before, I think.
I've said that a lot of times now, for sure.
He's been in the elevators.
So
many elevators, yeah.
Yeah, so look, there's been a lot happening. I think the last time, I don't know when it was actually the last time you were here on the channel. Do you want to talk about we met at the summit last year in Switzerland, which was great to meet you in person. And I don't think we actually had a show since then. So if there is anything, what's been happening with World Mobile?
Wow, where to begin? Lots of expansion, lots of countries, lots of partnerships. Managed to grow in a way that even I find it hard to keep on top of. Very much enjoy doing what I'm doing, but it's an 18-hour job as a minimum per day, and we're making a dent. We're connecting people. We've got a sharing economy model that's working in Zanzibar and has now been exported to 3 or 4 different countries. And of course, you guys know about the USA, but I know you've got an agenda, so hit me up. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, let me focus on Zanzibar first. So it was the start. It's the trial. It's where everything's been tried and tested. How what's your feeling of how that's went? Is it went to plan? Is it meeting expectations, or how's it going?
Obviously, this beautiful Aerostat in front of us, that should have gone up a long time ago. So in terms of Zanzibar, that's probably the only disappointment. In terms of actually testing the sharing economy, getting it going, driving revenue through the system, giving the education to the people, it's been better than we expected. Yeah. So as you know, we started off offering a free or semi-free service to the people because as we played with air nodes, we didn't operate all of those air nodes, and sometimes people would turn the power off at nighttime, and the service wouldn't be exactly how we would want to provide a service. So those growth steps, those educational steps, needed to happen. Yeah. But overall, Zanzibar is very close to my heart. It's where it was born. It's where it really happened, and the same model is now being exported elsewhere.
Oh yeah, and people don't know, WMTScan.com is where you can go on and check out what's going on there. So we're at 412 air nodes. That's increased massively over the last year. Is there like an expected amount of air nodes there? Is there a limit, or is there sort of a number that you're expecting?
Well, a lot of our focus now is on B2B there because we want the B2C side growing itself to see the sharing economy really running. So a lot of effort isn't going there, but B2B nodes actually double up as B2C nodes if the owners of those B2B nodes want that to happen. So that's the next stage, making that happen. Growth, we expect to cover the entire island. We don't use licensed spectrum there. We use unlicensed spectrum in the form of gave away something there. In the form of Wi-Fi, and we're working with the regulator to work on other different spectrums. Eventually, we think we may have cellular, but Zanzibar is very small, right? It's a population of 1.3 million people. Our efforts are probably, when it comes to cellular, best spent somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally understand. But I always keep track of the growth there, and and everybody who follows World Mobile can clearly see that it has been growing. I remember when there was only a couple of our nodes, and the hype and excitement around it, but to see 400 plus, that's amazing. And
you'll see thousands. Eventually, you'll see thousands, and they're not thousands that World Mobile would put up. It's not our intention to go and do the rollouts ourselves. If we do, we will fast run out of money. If we do, we will fast run out of resource to do anything else in terms of manpower and time. The idea is that Zanzibar will grow on its own, just like the rest of the places that we're operating. Pakistan, you don't see on WMTScan yet, but soon, with the 2 eyes has been put in the chat now, you will see what Pakistan has done, and that doesn't have a single World Mobile employee or person on the ground, not a single World Mobile truck, and that's all been done through partnerships. That's a big business model to prove, and we've proven it. You just don't see it yet.
That's what I was doing there. I was zooming out on the WMTScan site, and you can see that there's any other pink dots, and I'm expecting there to be, at some point. But I've taken a screenshot of just Zanzibar, and I'm going to check it again next year and see where it's all at. But just to finish up on Zanzibar, your roadmap there is pretty much to the sharing economy to take over. Is that the goal now?
Yeah. Exactly that. We are still working on the B2B side and educating people and growing there. B2B adds a lot of revenue to the revenue base, and will continue. And there's no real good B2B services there. Having affordable internet, people are paying through the roof. So being able to have B2B and then supplement the earnings using the same infrastructure, just on a different SSID, to be able to give to people who are close by, is really important for the sharing economy. And again, that can be exported anywhere else, whether it be United Kingdom, United States of America, which we'll talk about later, or Pakistan, or Nigeria, or Mozambique, or Malawi, or all the other countries that we're in.
If people get excited.
Yeah, so I suppose the plan, Zanzibar was the real testing ground to make sure that you had the way you wanted to run it right. Is your focus for ye rolling it out yourselves still Zanzibar, or will ye be rolling it out personally in other countries, or will you look to do like you're doing with, was it Nigeria you said there, where there's other people rolling it out for you?
Yeah, so Pakistan is very similar to Zanzibar in the sense that it's using Wi-Fi mostly. As backhaul, maybe we use some other different frequencies, but Wi-Fi. So we're pretty confident that wherever we roll out these Wi-Fi nodes, we can monetize them and add them into the sharing economy, and we don't need to do much more. When it comes to places like United States of America, we think that probably we need to handhold a little bit more, maybe put the proof of concepts down ourselves to show before we open Operation Air Node. It was super important, right? You all of a sudden come into the industry, you build a big community. You can't make a sharing economy that doesn't work otherwise, and we've seen that, right? There's other DY players in the space that have put out sharing economies that just don't make money. Money ultimately makes the world go round, and people need to be rewarded for putting down infrastructure and for making an investment into themselves, into their infrastructure. So Zanzibar, although it feels very slow, I think considering the sharing economy that we've built out there and the foundation that we've built has actually been really fast.
Yeah. Do you know what I love most what you guys put out on the World Mobile Twitter is like the diaries that come out from like how it's impacted people's lives and the local economy there, and the businesses there. They're amazing. I don't know who come up with the idea of those, but they're really, really good marketing, and they also they're very good feel good factor about them.
Yeah, they warm the heart to see that what we're doing and what the community are doing is actually impactful, right? People talk about social impact. It's like a buzzword, but actually, who is making social impact? Certainly we are. We're one of the companies in the space that is actually doing it, but we're making it not just for the sake of social impact, not for the sake of philanthropy. We're making it social impact plus revenue generating, which is the only way that it's going to grow. And don't forget, I've stood up in front of the International Telecommunications Union, the United Nations, the GSMA, and said, I'm going to connect 1 billion people. we are going to connect 1 billion people. And they've said, how? I said, because together we're unstoppable, right? Which is our tagline. And we're going to do this via a sharing economy.
Yeah, I think them videos are a great way to remind people that this isn't just another crypto company that's building a product that stays within crypto, that it touches real lives, and it's a real world use case of blockchain to bring connectivity out there. So we mentioned a few bits there on the US. That was a really good announcement during the week that you guys have got some US spectrum now. What does that actually mean for people who see, yes, US or everything, but what does that mean in the big picture for the rollout within the US?
Technically, it means we can use different styles of radio, right? If you're using Wi-Fi is fantastic for the Zanzibar scenario. But Wi-Fi has its limitations. It has the limitations when you jump from one node to another, the handoff. You walk from your room to another room. Sometimes you lose connection. It takes you 10, 15 seconds to reconnect. It doesn't have the same properties as a cellular connection. So using licensed spectrum puts us in a position where we can have a whole different set of radios going. So what we're developing in the University of San Diego and with the tech team in America is some long range radios that were originally designed to go on this Aerostat. My picture's image, so I'm not sure where I'm pointing, but on this Aerostat. But actually we've made a smaller unit that can sit on top of a roof. So having licensed spectrum allows us to go 50 miles, 60 miles, maybe even 100 miles. Here it says 70 kilometers squared coverage, but actually the latest data sets that we've got suggest 150 kilometers of coverage. So it allows further coverage for people. It allows people to directly connect with their handsets to the devices, the nodes themselves, but ultimately it allows us to compete. It allows us to compete in a market where usually the barrier to entry is so high. But through our connections, through our ability, through some good negotiations for skills from myself and the team, we've managed to secure the spectrum. And this spectrum will allow us to connect millions and millions of people in the United States of America, in Nevada, in New Mexico, in Utah, and in parts of California as well. Just to give an idea, our spectrum covers around 1.5 million people as a population, but the footprint of people passing through there who have a choice to either subscribe to us. And if you remember back in the day, I always used to speak about the wholesale side of the business. You need to be making money whilst you sleep, not only being able to get subscribers. So going head to head against AT&T and Verizon and T-Mobile is not my game. It's not something that I want to do. But covering those patches, the Swiss cheese, or the rural areas is something that the spectrum allows us to do. But what it also allows us to do is offer our services as a neutral host to the 1,000 mobile network operators around the world. So when someone comes into, let's just say Reno, for example, one of the venues, one of the geographical areas that we've identified has 24 million people visited a year, international tourists and domestic tourists. Where there is bad coverage or where there is not particularly good coverage, or even just where there's a partnership agreement between us and another mobile network operator, they'll use our service. And they'll seamlessly be doing that. They won't switch to World Mobile, but the air node itself that's hosting the connection will actually get paid by that person's mobile carrier. So I sent you some images earlier on. You saw the size of the numbers of the people that are able to visit there. If you think about Reno, Sparks, Elko, East Sparks, Carson City, Susanville, Cedar City, all these different places, just those alone have hundreds of millions of visitors. If you talk about Lake Tahoe, 3.5 million visitors alone, who are international and domestic visitors. There's really bad coverage in those areas. So filling up those areas with Operation Air Node, we have potential to see hundreds of millions of people annually through our network. And of course, that potential then could be translated to revenue for people who own air nodes. And then once that revenue comes in from the air nodes, who processes it? The earth nodes. So the air nodes, the spectrum is much more meaningful than the community have picked up on. Not everyone, but I think it's a hard concept to gather, but they'll see it. They'll see the numbers, they'll see the growth, they'll see the revenue, and they'll all of a sudden see that not only are we the biggest blockchain in the world by usage, I mean, we're in the top 15 right now, in terms of products bringing in revenue from real people without them having to know anything about crypto, boom. Like that's what we're going for. And that's how we'll connect 1 billion people, and that's how we'll become the biggest mobile network operator in the world. The clue's in the name, right? World Mobile.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch, Mickey, on you touched about the other carriers paying for the service. How does that work? You know, do people realize they're using World Mobile, or does it automatically happen, or what is?
So we have several different products, right? So I think this is probably the first time we're talking about this, but one of the products is the World Mobile SIM. So that would allow you or anybody else that downloads an eSIM onto their phone to be able to travel the world, with the exception of 1 or 2 different countries, Iran, North Korea, the blacklisted countries, to be able to use the SIM cards, right? So that's people paying us directly to be able to use the SIM card, and then that will come back into the sharing economy. The other way is that in the Swiss cheese, where you've got pockets of 300 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people that don't have good connectivity at their home or outside their house, they're really asking for a service, and they really need that service to get home, and then to have to be connected to Wi-Fi the entire time, to go into the garden, to lose that, not to have coverage, is a real bull's egg. It's not something that anybody wants. Seamless connectivity is something that we all need. So that they will be subscribers to the World Mobile Network. But what people are not thinking about is carriers need help, right? Mobile network operators need help. In America, for example, every year, 40% capacity increase is needed, which means that a mobile network operator needs to go to put down more infrastructure in order to be able to cater for that. So we're kind of at the beginning of understanding their needs, and they're early enough to be able to say to them, hey, let's make a deal. You know, you guys are having to roll out this infrastructure consistently. It's costing you much more than it's costing us, because we're a sharing economy where the capex and the opex comes from the people that run the network. Let's make a deal. Let's support you with your network. Let's support you with your capacity needs. And just to put that into perspective, if we use 10 gigabytes this year, a month, next year you'll be using 14, right? And we're not expecting it to go lower. We're only expecting it to go higher and higher and higher. So the need for this is we're right at the stage where mobile network operators need that help. And look, it's evident. Half the world is unconnected. You can see that. 30% of the landmass of America is unconnected. 10% of the population is totally unconnected. That's the entire size of Australia in terms of population. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. And it needs companies like World Mobile to go out there and do this, and to bring this initiative around, just like Airbnb and Uber did their part. Airbnb less, but it was a great sharing economy idea, but the barrier to entry was high. Uber stopped being high. Uber came in, you have a car, as long as it fits within our profile, download this app, register yourself, and we'll give you rights. You pick up people, you have a rating system, you give a good quality of service, and you'll be part of that. I use Uber 90% of the time now, as opposed to a taxi, for multiple reasons. Number one, because it's quicker, right? Number two, because it's cheaper. So you can kind of make the same comparison with World Mobile and our air nodes.
Oh yeah, definitely. And just for my last question on that one was, I seen on the tweet regarding the US spectrum, there's an FCC approval process. Just what
it's
is
approved.
that?
It was approved.
Okay.
It was approved 1 or 2 days afterwards. You can go and look it up in the FCC database. This was no Zanzibar. I know people were like, oh, but you've got to get approved. Zanzibar, we brought something very foreign there, something that people didn't really understand. But here's another spoiler. So soon we have another country that has actually said, yes, we'd love to launch an Aerostat. It's very close to Zanzibar, Tanzania. I won't give you the actual location right now, but Mike will when Mike's ready. He embargoes all of the press right now and all of the media, but we've got full approval without any problems. So over the next weeks or months, you'll see an Aerostat up, and that Aerostat will go up with a worldwide name. When I say worldwide name, maybe the top 5 telecom companies in the world.
How do you spell the country?
I'll tell you offline.
Yeah, that's definitely a common question that I get, is when balloon, or when are we going to see one of them flying and really kicking things off? And I know you've had a lot of different, it's not on your side from everything I've read anyway, it's waiting, going through all the red tape. And when you get the go, are you ready just to essentially let fly?
Not just ready, in the blocks, like ready to run faster than Linford Christie, right? We're absolutely ready. This is very personal to me. It's something, the commitment that I made, not just to our community, but that is very important, but also to the world, to show what we can do. We've shown it in the United States of America, and now with licensed spectrum, you should expect to see quite a few aerostats go up over the next few months, 6 months, maybe a year. But in the Africa continent, it's really important to me. That's where my heart is. The money is probably immediately in the United States of America and in more developed nations. But the big picture of what I'm going for is the African continent and the most unconnected places, because no one is doing it. No one has the ability, first of all, to cover these huge rural areas. And no one really cares that much, and that's wrong. You shouldn't have a continent of nearly 1 billion people with 60-70% of them totally unconnected, with one of the youngest populations on the planet. And there's so much beauty that comes from the continent, but we can't see it, we can't feel it, we can't be it. And people have the right to be connected to the internet. So for me, you know, as we moved into the USA, you have the naysayers, oh, you didn't succeed in Africa, or oh, you don't care about Africa. It's like, no. World mobile, right? But my heart, a big part of the team still stays in the continent. It's still making deals. Every day we're getting deals. You saw it today. We announced a partnership with Conflux. They're pretty big in Nigeria. They're also huge in Asia, government backed. And they're, you know, they called us their most significant partner since China Mobile. China Mobile is the biggest telecom company in the world. They've spoken to other telecom companies and they haven't onboarded them, and they haven't decided to work with them, but they did decide to work with us. So for me, the emerging markets, the Asian markets, are just as important as the Western world. But sure, we've been around for 2 years. It should be expected that we start to spread out into different places. I think we're in 13 or 14 different countries right now where we have deals, partnerships, interconnects, and we're working with governments as well as private entities in order to be able to show what we've done and start to roll out in those countries.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've seen people used to use as a criticism was, oh, Africa, they're going to fail because there's no money, there's none of this, and the World Mobile won't make anything, and they will essentially not be able to run the company. But when you look at WMTScan, which I think is great for transparency, you can see the nodes, the ones on WMTScan, they're the ones just in Zanzibar so far, are they? That's the air nodes where it's showing the earnings.
There's more to be added. There's things that you don't see there yet, but when they come live, ready for the network itself, then they'll be added. And I think a lot of people will be surprised. Yes, the average revenue per user for in Zanzibar is approximately $1.50, but that's without value-added services, right? That's without football subscriptions. We'll talk about football later as well. But even though you're a Manchester United fan and a Manchester City fan, I'm a Liverpool/Fulham fan. But yeah, it's the future potential, right? And if you come in late to the game, you're going to be too late. If you come in early to the game, you set the foundations right. Look at India, right? Recently, we announced Manoj Kohli as a senior advisor for World Mobile. His last role was for 8 years at SoftBank, head of SoftBank India and one of the top people at SoftBank group. And then before that, he was at Bharti Airtel. Bharti Airtel, they completely transformed India. Before India, when he arrived, there was 1 million customers in Delhi. That was what Airtel was. When he left, there were 450 million people connected to Bharti Airtel. There's no coincidence that when Bharti Airtel spread cheap, affordable, fast internet to those villages, the gig economy of India grew to be the biggest gig economy in the world today. What do you think is going to happen in Africa? Exactly the same. So it seems like 2 years or 1 year or 4 years is a long time away to wait for these guys, these ladies to be able to get online. But once they're online, they start doing amazing things, just like we're doing amazing things right now. You know, most of our business is operated online. If I'm not traveling, I'm at home at the war station, and I'm online. I'm speaking to all of our team. You guys are running this interview now online with us. The Telegram group, the sharing economy has all been founded online. Everything now is online. So again, Africa is somewhere that I think is going to be the biggest gig economy in the world, and some of the best arts and culture will come from there as well, and we'll all be able to see it.
Yeah, I think as more countries are added, like the US spectrum, it piqued a lot of interest from different people that might have wrote off World Mobile when they start to see that, okay, it is out there. It's not just looking into Africa, and they can't use that there's not enough resources or anything there. And there's a question here. You probably don't have price ranges for compared to Starlink, but on a scale, like, will you be coming in cheaper for people to get access to rather than the likes of Starlink? Or like, I can't have it here, but from what I've heard, it's a great service, but it's very expensive.
Starlink is fantastic for multiple reasons, right? If you've got a whole school building that you want to connect, fantastic, and then you redistribute via Wi-Fi. Well, OneMobile does the same thing, but it doesn't do it just for a school. It does it for the people on the ground. So as a backhaul option, it's really good, and we're very close to the people at Starlink. We speak on a at least a monthly basis, and we deploy some of their infrastructure with them. And in fact, they recommend us to other countries and nation states to support build outs where they don't do those particular build outs, or where there's a different need. So the relationship is fantastic with much of the C-suite there. And yeah, are we going to be cheaper? It's a different proposition, right? For a person on the side of a mountain, or for the person that can afford the price of the unit, the price of the internet that's been subsidized or not subsidized, it's going to cost them a couple of $100 a month or $100 a month, and it's going to cost them to buy the actual infrastructure. For us, you just pick up your telephone, you connect to us via Wi-Fi or via TV Whitespace in Kenya, and you'll be able to use the network as a subscriber and buy as much data or as little data as you want. So two different horses, totally, but very synergetic.
Yeah, so they're not, a lot of people look at that it's one or the other, or only one can succeed in an area. And like you're talking about there, it sounds that you can work together.
Very symbiotic.
Yeah, actually, that kind of covers. Did you see the latest one there was about Starlink, and it sounds like already there is lots of connections. Don't like these comments here, though. But,
no.
You never walk alone.
Yeah, for the non-football fans, you'll never walk alone. Liverpool, we'll move on swiftly from that. So you had another partnership lately, HAPS. You joined the high altitude.
What?
The name's not coming to me.
The High Altitude Alliance. So what is a HAP? A HAP is very similar to an Aerostat, except from it doesn't sit at 300 meters or 1,000 meters. It sits at 20,000 meters and above. I think we will become an integral partner to the companies there. I think you've seen some of the companies, Boeing, Airbus, many aerospace industries. We actually have a partner based in the Middle East where we have exclusivity on one of the platforms that they're launching over the next year or two. So we'll be able to test our payload on that platform. At the moment, they're very expensive, right? You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, and you can't really bring them down or land them. Some you can, they break, they have issues. It's not ready yet, but we're always a future-looking company, right? We always look at what's coming next rather than only what's now. We do the now, but we're prepared for the future. So it's a very important alliance for us, and a lot of work groups and a lot of trials and tests. And we've got a lot to contribute. And they realize that, we realize that. And Gregory, who's on our team, he was the one that got us introduced, and he was the one that vouched for us. And then when they looked at our data sets, they saw what we're building, they invited us to be members, which is a massitive honor.
Yeah, it's a good technical alliance, I would say. I was checking through some of the stuff they're working on, and it's high altitude planes and balloons and everything. That's, as you say, it's probably expensive at the minute, but these things get cheaper eventually.
Yeah, we think that we can put something in the air, maybe $30 or $40 million. Just to give you a perspective, in the United States of America, if you look at low Earth orbit satellites, there's a lot of them, but they've cost billions and billions and billions of dollars to put up. We think that we can put up maybe 10 high altitude assisted balloons, which is what we'll be working with specifically. We love balloons. And that should be able to cover full coverage over the whole of the United States of America. And we're in pole position to do that right now.
Yeah, I seen actually, came to me when you were talking about the US and how things work, and you mentioned Earth node operators. Seen a lot of different familiar names in the comments from Earth node operators. Thanks to all for tuning in. And for someone who hasn't heard how things work, how does World Mobile work in terms of, you obviously have connections on the ground, but how does that translate back to blockchain and into the Earth node operators on a very high level, not into the technical, but just where does blockchain play its role?
Well, if you think of World Mobile ecosystem, in McDonald's, you used to have the things that you put a coin down and just spin around and around and around until it finally ends up in the hole, right? So World Mobile is very similar in the sense that air nodes are the layer that attracts the normal user to give them a connection, and the normal user pays for a connection. Then it's all data from there, right? So Earth nodes then become the mobile core, and they handle computes, they handle storage as a service, they handle many of the dynamic routing, their diameter routing, and many of the other elements. So they're essentially a distributed mobile core plus that is going to be able to take on all of this traffic, all of these services, and all of these value-added services that are run through the mobile network.
Okay, and are you looking at any partnerships with, say, other crypto firms for decentralized storage or anything with some of them value-added services?
Zach and Ryan, they're big on this partnerships. We have a lot lined up that will be announced over the next weeks, months, and so on. But what we're sure about is we're only going to work with companies that actually do something, right? A lot of the crypto space, they're trying. Some of them are just outright Ponzi's. And some of them are very futuristic technology that doesn't serve that much of a purpose. So we don't have the time to be able to work with people that only have a vision that isn't going to come to fruition. So we're only working with the most serious of companies in the space right now. That's not to say in the future we won't, bring incubators towards World Mobile. We won't start to set up programs that will bring new thoughts, new visions that could lead to something, and then maybe tutor and mentor those companies or those people and bring them onto the World Mobile chain or partnerships. But right now, we're very focused on delivering what we need to deliver, rather than to make partnerships that won't succeed or have a long shot of success. We're only working with people that are very sure and that are going to add value to the ecosystem and make the impact that we need.
That gives me a good introduction to the latest partnership of Conflux that broke earlier today, which, that's pretty big also. Announcements upon announcements, Micky, we can't keep up here, but Conflux, sorry. So what's going on there? What's this all about?
Conflux, we've been speaking to them for some time. We've been looking at what they're doing. They are making a blockchain-based eSIM with China Mobile. China Mobile are one of the biggest, if not the biggest, mobile network operator in the world. Yeah. They have a great presence in Asia, but more synergistically, they also have a great presence in Nigeria. We're now expanding into Nigeria. We spoke with them. It made a lot of sense. We can bring a lot of technology to them. They can bring a lot of technology to us. They showed real passion in what they're doing. They're doing something very real. Again, what I just said, we're only going to work with people that are really moving forward at a pace that we need them to move forward at. And we see this as a huge part for Aya. Their blockchain is really cool. And I think that, it's a great synergistic partnership that's going to lead to a lot of things that will come out in the future that you'll see over the next months.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I wanted to point out, in case people start wondering, they see another blockchain. We had it when we had Cardano, and then we decided to make the sort of consensus mechanism separate from Cardano. There's bridging that's obviously going to happen, but we're not leaving Cardano, and not true.
Come on, this is the vision of Aya. The vision of the World Mobile Chain was always this.
Yeah.
I've been working with Charles Hoskinson since 2018. He's been supporting us, has been backing us. He's the first person that came out to say interoperability is the future of blockchains. Without that, you're in islands, and not in islands, but on islands. So it's anybody that thinks otherwise is just plain stupid, to be honest. And it's just something that they haven't done the research properly. They haven't heard me speak. I'm Cardano in my heart through and through. But interoperability to connect to a billion people, we're going to need this shared economy to be able to be run anywhere and everywhere. So Cardano is the bastion, is our solid foundation, and it has so many benefits. But so do other blockchains as well. And in order for us to grow in the way that we want to grow, at the size we want to grow, we should be able to bring in other communities into Cardano, and that's what we plan to do.
Oh yeah, and I've described it to people before. You have a business. You don't just have everything in this one little box when you have this massive business. You have so many components within World Mobile that's going to be operating, and every little component is playing its part to make the whole thing work. And it was the same discussion that went on whenever the IA chain was, the information for that was released. A lot of panic and over worry, and when everybody realized actually it's just supporting the whole, makeup of the whole business, and this too as well, and the big part of that announcement, which excited me most, was the SIM cards. Can you give any info on them?
We've got some patents. They have some patents as well.
Okay.
That's probably the most amount of info I can give you. But you know, we're very far advanced. You see our Trello, right? You see a lot of stuff that's happening there, but you don't see the stuff that's happening that we can't put there. So as that comes live, you'll see it. And when we need to protect ourselves, we've noticed other DY companies in the space, you know, scan for points, scan to earn. All of a sudden, several of them have got scan to earn, scan for points. They've got the same kind of things. Talking about, you know, running a mobile core and being E911 compliant and wholesale, and all of a sudden others are doing the same. So we need to protect ourselves just like any other company would. So there's not much I can say, but you know, we're really advanced in some of the technology that we're building, and it's very synergistic with the things that Conflux are doing too.
Try my best to get as much out of you as possible.
I can see. I have to remember that we're live.
We should have made this whiskey was mandatory for this and taking a drink every so often to try and pull the answers out of them. Maybe that's the idea for the next one.
I just saw a good question come in from Jeffrey Fleming. Could you partner with existing telecommunications companies, use their infrastructure to expand worldwide? Absolutely. There's 600,000 CBRS nodes in the United States of America that are making no money for the people that are holding them up. So converting them to World Mobile, all of a sudden that's 600,000. If we converted every one of them to the network, and they can start to be used. Of course, it depends in the places. Having one in the middle of nowhere might not make too much sense to convert it. It might be just used for yourself. But if someone's got one outside Disneyland, or they've got someone outside the Mexico border, as an example, some hints there, by the way, then they could convert very easily to the World Mobile network. In terms of other carriers, mobile network operators, sure, we've also got some quite exceptional technology that Magnus and James and our tech team and our outsourced tech team have put together, which allows us to do mimic multiple radios under one radio. So we could essentially be broadcasting under a big mobile network operator, but also have another 10 or 15 mobile network operators broadcasting from the same radio. We realize that we want to leverage that. So great question, Jeffrey.
Yeah, there was one other one there actually on the air nodes. If people buy them, what type of backhaul could be used? So say the likes of me in the west of Ireland, could I get one at some stage and set up the backhaul myself, or how is there restrictions on it?
So you really should be using a business line. You really should have permission to broadcast. In some cases, World Mobile will have dark fiber and light fiber itself, lit up fiber, where we'll be reselling that to the anode operators. But any kind of backhaul you can use as long as you've got permission to use it. In most cases, you will have.
Okay. And just to finish out on coin or Conflux, I keep saying coin, but that's, I would guess, the first of many that the WMT token might be bridged out to. And just because you might be bridging to another ecosystem, it doesn't mean that World Mobile itself is moving out somewhere else. That interoperability, let as many people have access, is the goal.
Zach's speaking to a lot of different blockchains. Zach is also a lover of Cardano, but he realizes that in order to grow this sharing economy, we need as much awareness and as much support and as much interaction from different communities as possible. You know, our ethos in crypto is to have mass adoption, right? Everyone shouts about it, you know, to bank the unbanked. We're not going to do that with one community, I don't think. So giving everybody the chance to be able to stake natively, to be able to run natively, and to be able to use their preference is quite smart, because you don't want this maximalism to happen. You want people to be able to jump in and out and be between. For sure, I will be running my Earth node on Cardano, right? And I'm pretty sure most of the World Mobile team will, and I know you guys will as well. Whoever has Earth nodes from the beginning, I'm sure they will. But won't it be nice to be able to say, okay, Cardano, Conflux, X-Chain, I want to run there to have this redundancy, to have this capacity, to have this multiple states of trust and truth, rather than just coming from one place. It's pretty exciting. It might scare some people right now, just like in the beginning when World Mobile came out. You know, people said, "Oh, you know, what are you doing?" And then the mobile network operators, some of them said, "Hey, you know, you're coming for our lunch." Well, no, we're not. We're coming because we think that in order to connect 1 billion people and do a job that nobody else has ever done, we need a large amount of people supporting this and being part of this sharing economy and earning from it, right? So again, Cardano through my heart. You know, IOHK partners at World Mobile, equity holders at World Mobile, and interoperability is what it's all about. And I can never make as good as whiteboard as Charles made about the islands. So I recommend that anybody that has any doubts or any thoughts that are in their heads, they should go and watch that video.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you touched on as well the Scan to Earn and the World Mobile app. Do you want to talk about that, what it is, or what Scan to Earn is for people out there?
Scan to Earn is a proprietary platform that we've developed with some partners in order to be able to understand information around them and the network around them. Then that information gets fed to us. We then see where people are suffering the most, or where the connectivity is suffering the most. It may be the I-25 in the United States of America. It may be in Karachi. It may be somewhere else. But when we realize that there's no connectivity there and that person is consistently passing by the area, it's a source of truth for us. So then we're able to then map out on the operation air side where we should put infrastructure. Then we're able to display that to the people who are going to buy air nodes, and they're able to put that up. So we pay the users in world utility credits or in points for scanning for us, because that's a job we would either have to go and do ourselves. We have done a lot of that, but we can't do the whole world. Or we would have to go and pay a company like Ookla or somebody else millions and millions and millions of dollars to get that information. And that information may not be fully live. So we built a platform ourselves that's running right now and working right now to give us this business intelligence.
Okay, great. And when will that roll out to the public? I know there's testers in on it at the minute. There's some limited release on it.
I probably get shot for this, but I believe that it's meant to roll out out of beta into a full product in the end of July, which is coming up now. But don't quote me on that. You have to ask Antonio in the chat. But the end of July, middle of August, the global application will be in the hands of multiple users. Initially, it will start with just a Cardano wallet, non-custodial, and then there's the onboarding. You've got some cool features in there, and of course, the best feature that's going to be added pretty soon is the SIM cards, the eSIM. So anybody's going to be able to use an eSIM that will natively roam onto our infrastructure wherever we have nodes, and then work on partner infrastructure where we don't have nodes. So they've got this seamless experience of being able to travel. And you'll be able to pay for that eSIM in normal currency, in WMT, or in any cryptocurrency that you'd like. In addition, you'll also be able to stake WMTs in order to get better benefits inside the app and to get cheaper rates, and to get different kind of cashbacks or priority services, I should say. But I'm revealing too much now.
No, keep talking. It's good. That's why we're staying quiet here. We just let you keep.
That's why I saw Paddy's face. It was like, okay, you're saying,
don't say anything.
Too much.
Yeah, actually, what I forgot to say as well is give the video a like if you're new, subscribe, cover lots of Cardano, World Mobile, and lots of different projects here. I meant to say that in every video, but generally I forget to shield that part. But Paddy, what have you got for us?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on, I'm terrible with remembering cities and states in the US, but you had the Aerostat testing that went on about 2 months ago, was it?
It's been ongoing for a year in New Hampshire. It's just we've only put out a couple of videos, but we've done extensive testing there. But we're ready. We're ready to go out to other places, and now we've got this licensed spectrum. We're ready to float it and to show what we can do.
No, I thought that was awesome, when I was checking up on it and seeing the videos. And one of the Earthnote guys went up. Was it Nico or was it another one? I can't remember which one it was. He was taking some pictures as well. And it was awesome to see the whole process in action. And you guys are probably doesn't mean probably nothing to you. You've probably seen it a couple of times, been through the process. But for a lot of us here, we're seeing the balloons up. There's phone calls ongoing. It's connected. It's the whole, it's the whole system. To me, I think it's awesome. Now, you probably see it all the time. Maybe the first 10 times or something that was exciting for you. But for us, I thought that was an amazing test. And was that a big part of the infrastructure that gets deployed in each part? So, it's proven.
It's never boring for me, but it's something I deal with every single day, right? Including weekends. And we have a lot of our team, at least 10 members of our team, are consistently working on this, as well as the outsourced people, as well as the companies we're working with for Aerostats. We're currently connected to 2 or 3 different Aerostat companies, but in our book, we have 10 or 11. we're working with them to develop aerostats that are affordable for our particular application. No one has really used aerostats for communications en masse. They've used aerostats for surveillance. They've used aerostats for specific communications for military or for Department of Defense or for whatever else. So it is always exciting. You shouldn't expect an aerostat to go up and all of a sudden hundreds of thousands of people to be connected. But what you should expect is to see a trajectory of a few tests happening. We think we're going to do that in one of the states that we've got the spectrum. In fact, we think we can cover probably the entire of that state or most of that state with one aerostat. And it's going to be super exciting to see, you know, what we need to do once we've got 50,000, 20,000, 100,000 people connected to this aerostat, what we've assumed that could be wrong, what the trials and tribulations are going to be, and to fix those. So that's the bit that I'm looking forward to now. We've done many proof of concepts. We've proven that we can, you know, connect 100 people, 200 people. We've proven we can go the distance. We've got the data sets to do that. Now let's bring on the masses. And it's those challenges I look forward to the most. You know, people might be scared by those challenges, other people, but it's fixing those problems or fixing those issues, because once you fix them, you've got this really shiny thing in the air that does something that nobody else does. And that's when, you know, you add 100,000 people to the blockchain, and all of a sudden it's like you're number one, maybe not number one, maybe number 3 blockchain. And then you add another 100,000 people, and then another 5 or 6 aerostats, and then all of a sudden you are the biggest blockchain in the world. Not that that's that meaningful, but I think it is meaningful in the sense that mass adoption has always been promised to come, and it's only really being delivered by Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum as well. But you know, we're there for the real mass adoption, not just for DeFi users, not just for people who are hoarding onto money as a store of value, but actually real usage of blockchain. So I'm very excited about what the future of Aerostats will bring.
Are we going to be able to put like me and Paul's picture on them?
Pleasure. we're actually working on one with an LED panel so that we can from the ground remotely change. So we'll be able to work with advertising or camouflage ourselves into the environment or show a football match or many different things. But again, don't expect that in the next 6 months, year. Maybe afterwards we will. And it adds weight, and you've got to do a few different things. But we are working with one company that will support that. So absolutely, you and Paul will be on the side of one of them.
No one is to see that. That's actually a good additional revenue model. I hadn't thought of the advertising side of it, or the advertising potential. I've seen this question a few times in the comments, so I have to put it at you because I'll get shot if I don't. Mainnet, do we have a target for it, or how are we looking?
You can say it, man. Is it going to be Q3? We believe it is. The guys are working really hard. The Earthnode operators, I think 10 more places just opened up in the private testnet that I saw today. They've started to see some changes happening. It's no longer what everyone thought was a vanilla Cosmos Tendermint implementation. We've actually just finished the consensus as well. So we've got the consensus up and running ourselves, a couple of us, and it's got some bugs, it's got some errors, as to be expected. Nobody's really ever done this before with Tendermint, but the progress is great. And people will see, they'll as it goes towards public testnet, they'll see all the different changes and the changes happening. And I think, I may be speaking out of line here, but in the last Earthnode operators chat, there are going to be incentives for running testnet as well, because we need as many people as possible finding these bugs, finding these errors, because we can't go live with them. So progression is great. The team is working fantastic. We had a very big team that were working on this before, but what we found is by narrowing down our team, having more focus, and then bringing out some experts from the outsourcing world to complement us, actually we're making progress much better than we were previously. So I think Q3 is still likely, but Antonio will be the one to answer that. But everyone will see what's happening. They'll see the changes, they'll see the new implementations, the new modules being added, and they'll judge for themselves. But certainly progression is happening towards Mainnet.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed an uptick in the testnet. It was quiet for a while, a few months ago, but the last, I suppose, month, maybe 2 months, it's really got a lot more active, which is great to see. It means that there's something happening. We are getting closer. Here's a question for you. Tougher audience, US telecom regulation or Mark Cuban?
Oh, good one. US telecom regulation. A very good
chat for World Mobile at the time. You're over and back with Mark Cuban.
Mark's a good guy. He's a really nice guy. I met him online for the first time, and we had a good chat over, I think, 24 hours. he was harder than the regulator. The regulation is really clear cut in the United States of America. You asked me earlier on, FCC approval, how long is that going to take? Well, it was done within 24, 48, maybe 72 hours. It's really clear cut. US regulation is fantastic. And I think they're looking very much forward to us to complementing the space.
Just to have a few other questions just on partnerships and sponsorships, but if anybody has any other questions, drop them in. We'll probably wrap up in about 5 to 10 minutes, if that's okay. But in terms of sponsorships, we're still going with Fulham. There was a big sponsorship with them. Was it last season?
Yeah, there was two seasons ago, and last season, and this season.
Yeah.
So we work very closely with Fulham. Great club, great people. It was hard for me because I'm a Liverpool supporter through and through, and now my kids are Fulham supporters. But they're a great team. I think they're going to stay up again this year, maybe even finish in a European place. Marco is a great manager. We're on the training kit. The training kit, ironically, had more impact for us than the front of shirt because social media, they display a lot of the training stuff, right? At Motspur Park and all these different things. But what we've noticed is moving into America, many people recognize World Mobile because they watch Premier League, and who has the most American players or in history? Fulham. So it was a really sensible partnership at the time, and it still remains to be a sensible partnership. Very good friends with the management there, the commercials, and maybe we're going to do a party at Fulham sometime next year. So anybody that wants to head out to the UK, World Mobile will put on some tickets, and we can go and invade the pitch. No, I didn't say that. We won't invade the pitch, but we'll go and have a party over there. And I very much enjoy going, and I enjoy the visibility that it brings us. Many companies that I speak to, they say to me at the end of the call, I'm a big Fulham fan, and I recognize your brand because of Fulham, and now I know what you do. So it's definitely a slow burner in terms of brand recognition. But if you want to be a worldwide brand, you've got to go with visibility, and the Premier League is one of the most watched leagues in the world, right? Soon to be Saudi Arabia, I think, in the next 5 years, 10 years. But we've just got players there. But we're also Saudi as well. So.
Yeah. And just to touch on something you mentioned earlier, you had mentioned something about potential value-added services with football. Is that going to be something that could be possible in some of these countries? Do you think it'll be the license to buy and stream will be possible in some of these countries?
Look out in the next 6 months in the USA.
Okay.
There's another one for people to just take and read into it what they want.
The World Mobile Global app is not just going to be about topping up your phone and buying credit. That's all I can say. It's value-added services are huge in telecoms, and we've got some partnerships and some deals that we can be pretty exclusive with, and that involves streaming and involves all types of different things.
Great. Keep us in mind for the a ticket for that party too at Fulham.
We need to bring as much money into the World Mobile ecosystem as possible, because that money filters down to everybody in that ecosystem. So whichever value-added services we can bring, we will bring that makes sense, and that money will come straight back into the sharing economy.
Yeah.
Let's see, mentions of World Mobile and NBA. Any other sports partnerships or Fulham?
I can't say anything.
We were doing better earlier in this call. He's copped on a bit now. He's in shorter answers.
Gives nothing away, this man.
Little bits.
A little bit, snippets.
I'd love to tell you everything, but I can't. First of all, Mike will shoot me. And second of all, the people that we hold NDAs with are waiting to make these announcements. They won't find me very professional coming onto YouTube and leaking information that I shouldn't be leaking at this stage. So as much as I'd love to tell you, I cannot.
Yeah, we know it's coming. We know it's coming.
Yeah. Anyone else with questions or that, drop them in the comments. We'll go through any of them that's there and close up fairly soon. We talked a bit about the value-added services, and would you be looking into, I think I mentioned decentralized storage. Is that a possibility? Or we kind of covered that actually. Maybe Joe wasn't on earlier on.
Yeah, I think Zach may be speaking to Iagon, or may not be speaking to Iagon. There's something you'll need to harass him about in the World Mobile chat. But cool service.
Yeah, I'm actually talking to them tomorrow. I don't know a huge
He's
amount
lying.
about them, but
You've said too much.
Not my fault, by the way. It wasn't me.
I'm in trouble.
If I missed any other questions on the way up, please do repeat them here now. I'm concentrating on them now to get through what we have. When Lex Friedman?
Whenever he invites me, I'm ready to go. Whoever wants to invite me onto their show, it won't be as good as being on your show, but I'll be very happy to spread the word about World Mobile and express why I think that the world needs connectivity and the problems that exist.
Yeah, well, obviously you're not going to have as much fun as with me and Paddy here, but has to be. There might be people with bigger audiences you just have to go on to. But Paddy, anything else from yourself before we start to finish up here?
No, that was great, Micky, and thanks very much for all those updates. And the announcements and the speed at which you guys are running at. I think for maybe over the past 2 years, and I know you guys were getting going and getting ready and starting the engines, but it feels like the engines they're firing now. There's announcements coming out from all over the place. The prongs are also going out all over the place in terms of different countries, different deals. It's amazing, and I want to congratulate you guys because it's great to see what you're doing and what you guys and the whole team and what you're achieving. So I'm very, very bullish on World Mobile. I'm very, very excited to what you guys do.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, man.
It's more than a pleasure. It's definitely been a journey that I expected, but also expect the unexpected. Being in crypto this heavily involved, having the whole of the company on the front line, being faced by the public, I think it's a challenge for any kind of company. But you look at Antonio, you look at Andy, you look at Zach, you look at Alan, you look at Mike, you look at Zach Lilly, who's on here. We take those questions straight up. I spend hours monitoring Twitter and looking at everything and seeing what people are thinking, understanding the overall sentiment, and jumping in when I feel I need to, in the Telegram channels as well. And it's the community are the most important to us, right? They're the foundation of everything that we're doing. And people will say, oh, you haven't done this, or you didn't achieve your original roadmap, or you haven't launched the Aerostat, or you haven't got Spectrum. Well, bit by bit, you'll see everything that we've said happen. And in 2 years, I think we've achieved a lot more than most telecom companies, let alone most sharing economies and most tech companies. And it is a mission, and it's something that we live for. And I'm not complaining, but 18 hours a day I work, my kids come upstairs, my wife brings me food. If not, I'm on an airplane sleeping, and then I jump off the airplane and I jump to a place, and I usually only spend 24, 48 hours in one place, and then get back to the computer. And then some meetings, especially in the emerging markets, people value face-to-face rather than being able to make a deal over the Zoom or the telephone. So we do what we have to do to deliver what we have to deliver. But this is a mission worth fighting for, right? This is a company that can grow to serve 1 billion people or even more. This could be potentially the most valuable company on the planet. And that's only going to be done by the people, by us. And I have a different philosophy, I think, than a lot of mobile network operators. They share, but they share amongst themselves. I think that, I always say it, together we're unstoppable. And it's not just a tagline that I've got. That I feel that. I feel that when I wake up. I feel that when I go to sleep. And without people like you, Paddy and Paul, and without people in our community, Earth node operators, and it's impossible to do this. So I thank everybody for listening. And thank you for having me on the show. And I look forward to being on next time. And if there's any questions from the audience, shoot, I'm ready to answer some.
Yeah, I think we have Marlo asked here just about Manoj. I know you touched on it earlier on, but just what his role is.
So he's senior advisor, but he's a bit more than that. He's not the kind of advisor that we speak to once a month. He's an advisor that we speak to pretty much every day. He's available for us. Many different roles, right? He served as the head of SoftBank. So in terms of the investment world, he's as big as it gets. He ran as a CEO from a company that went from 1 million people to 450 million people. That experience is invaluable to me as a CEO. Although I've run multi-million-dollar companies before, I've made several startups that I've successfully founded and exited. I've never done anything on the scale that he has, and I don't think he thought that someone is going to do something on the scale that we are going to do. So very synergistic relationship. He's turned into a really good friend and almost a family member, the way that we feel about each other. Me, Charles, and Emmanuel, we speak to him, on our WhatsApp group. We advise by him regularly. We ask him for his connections, for his experience, and for his advice. So Manoj is, not just about Indian regulation. That's also something that's probably coming up. India is a huge market, but right now not a market that we're looking into directly. But in the future, absolutely, right? And if there's one man that knows how to navigate that water, I don't think there's a single Indian person that doesn't know who Manoj Kohli is. He's a hero to those people, and he's a hero to us as well.
Yeah, great. I think the comments are gone quiet there. So I know we went through a lot in that. So we must have got through most questions. To everyone that stuck with us, do appreciate it. Thanks very much. Give the video a like, subscribe if you're new here, and make sure and share this out to show what's going on with World Mobile. Sometimes things are spread out all over the place. I think we have condensed a lot of the latest going into this. We'll take this as the final one then. Any other big disembargoed announcements? I'm
about to go and eat a 12-hour made brisket on my smoker. So that's the next big announcement.
That sounds good. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Micky, really appreciate your time coming on with us here. Hopefully we'll catch up. It won't be as long the next time when we get to catch up and see what's going on. And I'll leave it to everyone who's watching to start piecing together all the little bits that you've dropped in there, and let their imaginations run wild.
And I'm waiting for the messages to come in from Antonio. I've shut down Teams specifically because of this, and from Ryan, and from Zach, and from Mike, and from the legal team. Say, why did you say that for? Whatever. So wish me luck. I'll go and eat my brisket with a bit of hot sauce, and then I'll be attending to the rest of the team, the USA team, and any complaints that I've got coming in. So everyone, take a copy of this before I'm forced to delete it off YouTube. We'll talk to you soon.
See you later.
Thanks. Bye.